The night of the stolen equinox. Opening scene, radio chatter and sirens fading in. Signal 4, Signal 4. Hey, are you guys okay? The radio crackles through the still Florida night. It's 2:03 a.m. on July 23, 2024, and what began as a routine vehicle theft call will soon unravel into one of the most chaotic nights in Tallahassee police history. At first, it seemed like nothing unusual, just another report of a stolen car from a quiet apartment complex off Meridian Road. But within minutes, the situation takes a shocking turn, leaving officers scrambling to connect the dots between a stolen vehicle, multiple injured civilians, and a driver no one could have predicted. Scene 1 of the 911 call. The first call comes from a panicked young woman. Her voice trembles as she tells dispatchers that her boyfriend's silver 2011 Chevrolet Equinox has just been stolen. Moments before, she and her boyfriend were sitting at a park bench near their apartment when they noticed a man walking by, dressed entirely in black, wearing a ski mask and carrying a backpack. He looked out of place, she later tells officers. Like he was waiting for something. Her boyfriend decided to head back toward the parking lot, and that's when the sound of an engine shattered the silence. The man had slipped into the SUV, started it, and was already speeding away. In a desperate attempt to stop him, the boyfriend jumped in front of the vehicle, waving his arms and yelling. But the car didn't stop. It accelerated. The woman dove out of the way. Her boyfriend wasn't as lucky. Scene 2: Chaos on the street. Officers arrive within minutes, finding the injured man lying in the street. Miraculously, he's still conscious but badly hurt. He tells officers what happened, describing the suspect as a young male, possibly a teenager, wearing black clothing and a mask. Meanwhile, his girlfriend tries to track the stolen SUV through her phone's AirPods location ping. The signal shows movement, fast and erratic, heading across town. Police broadcast an alert. Be on the lookout for a white Chevy Equinox, Florida plate suspect fled eastbound at high speed. For the moment, it's just a vehicle theft and hit and run. But that's about to change. Scene 3: The pursuit. About 15 minutes later, a patrol officer spots the stolen SUV at a red light. The license plate matches. The officer flips on his lights, and the driver reacts instantly. The SUV jerks forward, tires screeching, engine roaring as it speeds through the intersection and into oncoming lanes. The officer radios in. He's taking off. Going the wrong way down the street. Dispatch, we're in pursuit. The chase barrels through residential street. Houses blur past. The vehicle blows through stop signs and intersections at terrifying speed. Then, silence. A split second later, a deafening crash echoes through the neighborhood. Scene 4: Impact. Officers round the corner to find the SUV embedded halfway into a suburban home. Debris and smoke fill the air. The once quiet street is now chaos, alarms blaring, neighbors shouting, lights flickering from shattered windows. An officer's voice comes over the radio again. Signal 4. Vehicle into a house. Requesting EMS now. Inside the crushed home, residents scream for help. A woman is pinned under debris, her dog barking wildly beside her. Outside, the driver stumbles from the wreck, dazed and bleeding, hands raised as officers rush in. What they discover next shocks everyone. The suspect is only 15 years old. Scene 5: Arrest. The teenager collapses on the pavement, muttering, "I'm sorry. I messed up. I didn't mean to hurt anybody." Officers cuff him, secure the scene, and call for medical assistance. As paramedics work to stabilize the victims, one officer whispers what everyone is thinking. A kid did all this? The night that began with a stolen car had now turned into a full-blown disaster, a chain reaction of fear, chaos, and heartbreak. And the investigation into why this 15-year-old was behind the wheel was just beginning. The crash site, what they found inside the house. Scene 1: Aftermath. Silence. The smoke hung thick in the air. The smell of gasoline mixed with dust and splintered wood. For a moment the entire neighborhood was silent, as if time had stopped. Then the radios erupted. Signal 4. Vehicle into a house. We need EMS now. Officers sprinted toward the wrecked home on Parker Meridian Drive. The silver SUV had torn through the front wall, stopping halfway in a living room that had, seconds earlier, been someone's sanctuary. Headlights still glowed through the haze. A television blinked on and off. Broken glass crunched beneath the officers' boots as they entered. Scene 2, the rescue. Police department. Is anyone inside? A muffled voice answered, a woman's, panicked but alive. She was pinned beneath collapsed furniture, her voice trembling as she called for help. Officers pulled at boards, pushing aside debris piece by piece. One kept her calm, talking her through every movement. You're okay. We've got you. Stay with me. They found her husband moments later, dazed, covered in plaster dust, but miraculously uninjured. Their dogs barked from somewhere deeper inside the house. One officer shouted, "Get the animals out. We don't know if gas is leaking." Neighbors poured out of their homes, phones in hand, shining flashlights toward the wreck. Someone gasped, "There's a kid in that car." Scene 3 of the driver. The teenager sat slumped against the driver's door, hands shaking, eyes wide with disbelief. His voice broke between sobs. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I did something stupid." He was bleeding lightly from his forehead but conscious. An officer carefully opened the door, ordered him to show his hands, and guided him out. "Stand up for me. You're not hurt badly, but you need medical help." "Okay." The boy nodded. "I'm 15, he whispered. The officers exchanged glances, stunned. 15. A child at the center of a crime scene that looked like a war zone. Scene 4, chaos in the neighborhood. Within minutes, flashing red and blue lights filled the block. Paramedics swarmed the scene. Reporters began arriving, held behind yellow tape as investigators worked. A woman cried out, "Is everyone in the house okay?" An officer shouted back, "We're getting them out now." The victims were stabilized and transported to the hospital. None of the injuries were life-threatening, though the trauma was heavy in everyone's eyes. Back near the wrecked SUV, an officer examined the interior. There was a phone, a backpack, and a crushed soda can, small, ordinary things that suddenly carried enormous weight. Scene 5, the interrogation begins. As the teen sat on the curb, trembling, officers tried to piece together what had happened. "Why did you run?" one of them asked softly. The boy stared at the ground. "I just wanted to go home. I didn't mean for anyone to get hurt." It didn't sound like the words of a hardened criminal. It sounded like regret from someone too young to understand how serious this night had become. The sergeant approached. He was doing over 70 when he hit. Front end crushed. "We're lucky they're alive." Another officer added quietly, "And he's only 15. Scene 6, connecting the scenes. Back at the original complex, investigators confirmed the vehicle was the same Equinox reported stolen earlier that night. The victims from the first scene, the boyfriend and girlfriend, were at the hospital providing statements. The man, though injured, was alert enough to describe the suspect's clothing: black hoodie, mask, small backpack. Everything matched. A dispatcher radioed the crash site. "Be advised, it's the same vehicle from the hit and run. One case, 2 crime scenes, one teen at the center of it all." Scene 7, reflections on the curb. As officers waited for paramedics to clear the driver, one of them quietly handed the kid a bottle of water. "You know you could have killed somebody tonight." The boy didn't look up. He just said, almost in a whisper, "I know." In the distance, dawn began breaking, the first hint of light touching a street still littered with debris. For Tallahassee PD, it had been one of the longest nights in recent memory. And for one 15-year-old, it was the night that changed everything. The confession, inside the mind of a 15-year-old. Scene 1, a police station, 4:30 a.m. The night air outside the precinct still smelled faintly of smoke from the crash site. Inside, fluorescent lights buzzed quietly. The teenager, the one who had stolen the silver equinox, sat slouched at the end of a long gray table, his wrists cuffed loosely in front of him. He looked exhausted. Not angry. Not rebellious. Just lost. Across from him sat two officers. Calm, professional, the way you speak to a child after a fire. One leaned forward. "We just need to understand what happened tonight. Start from the beginning." The boy nodded, voice trembling. "I was waiting on my brother outside his girlfriend's place. My phone died. I just wanted to charge it. I saw the car. Keys were inside. I thought I'd take it, plug in my phone, and bring it back." His voice cracked on the next words. "I didn't mean to hurt anybody." Scene 2, replaying the night. The officers kept their tone steady. "Okay. You saw the couple near the benches. Did they say anything to you?" He shook his head. "No, sir. I just walked by. I wasn't gonna steal it at first. But it was late. I didn't have a ride home. So I got in. When I turned the key, I saw them running toward me. I panicked." He paused, his eyes filling. "He jumped in front of the car. I didn't know what to do. I didn't mean to hit nobody. I just didn't want to get caught." The room went silent. One officer wrote quietly, the pen scratching against the report form. Another asked, "Why didn't you stop when we turned on the lights?" The boy stared at his hands. "Because I was scared. I thought if I kept driving, it'd just be over faster. I wasn't thinking right." Scene 3 of the knock on the door. Moments later, there was a soft knock at the door. A woman stepped in, his mother. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her eyes were red, her voice shaking but firm. She didn't yell. She didn't cry out. She just whispered, "Why, CJ? Why didn't you just stay home?" The boy couldn't answer. His shoulders trembled. She went on, voice cracking with every word. "Every time you leave this house, I tell you, the world out there don't give second chances. You could have died. Somebody else could have died." He finally looked up, eyes swollen. "Mama, I'm sorry. I was dumb. I swear I didn't mean for it to happen like that." The officer gave them space. The mother sat beside her son, holding his cuffed hands in hers. "You're lucky they're alive," she whispered. "You're lucky you still got breath to say sorry." Scene 4 of the charges. By sunrise, the paperwork was ready. The list of charges sounded longer than the night itself. Grand theft auto, aggravated battery, reckless driving, fleeing and eluding, and operating without a license. The sergeant read them slowly. The boy just nodded, eyes fixed on the floor. "I'll take whatever," he said softly. "I deserve it." But one of the officers, the same who had helped him from the wreck, leaned against the door and said quietly, "You don't deserve to die for a mistake. But you do have to live with it." The words lingered in the room long after he left. Scene 5, reflections in the morning light. Hours later, the teens sat in the back of a transport car, watching dawn spill over the horizon. Outside, the world was waking up. Joggers, cars, coffee shops, all moving on from a night he would never forget. At the crash site, city workers cleared debris while neighbors quietly talked among themselves. Inside the damaged home, the family was safe but shaken, one pet gone, another recovering. It could have been worse. Much worse. The officer who first arrived at the scene would later write in his report, "When I saw the suspect, I didn't see a criminal. I saw a scared kid who made a terrible choice." Closing narration. The 15-year-old was released to a juvenile assessment center later that morning. The victims were treated and survived. The family whose home was destroyed began rebuilding within weeks. And in Tallahassee, that night became a quiet reminder how a single decision, made in fear, can ripple through dozens of lives. He said he just wanted to go home. But instead, he changed the meaning of home for everyone he met that night.